G'day, welcome back to the channel. We're back on Orks. We're at the hobby desk today. I'm going to chat to you about a unit of breacher shield orcs that I've made. So my idea for the shield orcs was that I wanted like a breaching team. So I used basically a lot of old orc knob bodies. Lots of different hands, mostly sort of melee weapon with a shield. And I wanted their faces to sort of be a little bit distinctive from my normal orcs. And I use, and these could be used for 40k boarding actions or some sort of, normal game of 40k, but I play a lot of Xenos Rampant, and there's specific rules for boarding shields in Xenos Rampant that I had in mind when building these. So basically I used some of them are old knob bodies, some of them are newer knob plastics. I tended to use melee weapons. Sometimes with the two-handed weapons I simply sort of made them one-handed. I think orcs look a lot stronger when they've got that. And then for the shield, I found old scraps of different parts of vehicle doors, or in some cases, and I'll show you in a second, I just completely scratch built some out of spare plastics. And old sort of spare parts from like sci-fi door kits. So my general plan was to have each boarding orc armed with like a chunky close CQB kind of weapon, a riot shield, and then on their back they either had some sort of grenade or a firearm. So he has quite a striking mask. His mask is built from, I believe it's an Age of Sigmar, sort of an old plastics black orc. What do they call them now? Like Ard Boys, Orc Ard Boys. And I think I cut the horns off the front of the mask here, sort of turning those into, I guess, like respirators or a little bit more sort of sci-fi-ish. Painted sort of a cool skull face on there. Reminds me a little bit of, I guess, as a Call of Duty style sort of mask. He has a shoulder-mounted light and like a looted car door or truck door or something with a spike. I've added the spike. The car door is all some spare bit from an old kit. The spike was just added on there. On his back we see I've given him a sidearm and a couple of stick bombs. Up here you can see, actually with my big orcs I add quite a lot of my own sort of custom armor plates. So I've added an extra shoulder plate there, given it, carved some dings and scratches into it, then painted it up nice and messy, and it works really well. I always like to do that. Sometimes it's to cover up like a bad join, because I've grabbed arms from different kits and different places, and sometimes it's just because I like the look of a bit more of a solid shoulder. And I think these guys probably get more armor to go onto the breach. Here's my next guy, sort of the yellow guy. Old school knob head, cool ponytail. He's got a similar spare piece of car door. I added a couple of bit of plasticard, sheets of metal, scrap, sort of as if he's patched it up. You can see I've added like a groin plate there. This guy has a firearm, but usually they have sort of hand weapons. In this case he's got a whole bunch of bombs ready for close quarters. Throwing the grenades down the Space Hulk corridors. He's also got an extra bit of armor padding there. You can see that actually turns out quite well. I'll show you how I'll make those in a sec. Once you paint them up to match the armor, it's pretty seamless. This is sort of my lead breacher orc. He's fun, he's cool, I love this guy's facial expression. Full psycho. He was made from one of the old knob kits. He's got an arm from an old orc boss, because it had such a cool gun. I think I added even the extra sight from yet another weapon on top. I've built a lot of extra armor on this guy using parts of plasticard and old bits of plastic bases. And I've built, see around his face, almost like a cage with spikes. I've surrounded his stomach. Goes all the way to these extra shoulder pads. On this side he's been given the extra shoulder pads as well, and his armour is still strapped around his back, and then to cover that up on the back he's got his boss pole with dual shooters. Not a super fan of that old school orc, like sort of, I don't know what they are, like shotgun pistols or something, but I don't know, they just I don't find them that interesting. His shield is completely made from plasticard. The base of it is plasticard and different bits of plastic and a spike. And this little bit, this visor or window, or whatever you want to call it, that's from like a little sci-fi kit of doors and windows that I got from completely different piece of the game. I can show you that now. A lot of the base plastic comes from these Renedra sort of square bases. You might have a lot of these, or you might have seen a lot of these if you're into historical war games. I buy a lot of historical models, especially from the Perry brothers, and you get a lot of these, just so many of these with all the kits. After a while you end up with spares, and the parts are actually really good thickness, craftability, you know, you can cut them pretty well. They're a good thickness for things like shields and armor plates, and they're really good fun for orcs because you can carve whatever you want out of them. And then for smaller, thinner bits, I actually have this sort of just plain plasticard. This one's, I've forgotten what brand this is, but it's really nice. It's super flexible. You can kind of bend it and mold it. It's super easy to cut. So yeah, and so I cut little shapes out of that. I distress them with scratches and cuts and dings and bullet holes, and I have a hobby drill, sort of drill in rivet holes and bullet holes and things like that. And once it's all painted up, you can see it actually looks pretty convincing. Here we go. This guy's like full tank mode. He's got another converted old Black Orc helmet from Fantasy Range. Mega two-handed axe. Now his shield is an old cut up bit of sci-fi scenery from a different game. Could have been a Star Wars game. I added obviously some extra plasticard sort of designs, and he's got his spikes sticking out the side. I've carved in all the dings and scratches and the bullet holes, and obviously he's graffitied that, it's mega off. He's got a few extra armor plates. It's ready for action. Sometimes with these it's finding like which alternate arm. I think that's one of the burner looter arms, just because it's in a good pose for holding a shield. I like that guy. And last but not least, I've only got a unit of 5 of these. In Xenos Rampant, 5 is a pretty good starting number for units. This guy's great. He's got his shield on his back. This one is again made from an old door. I put on a little window, sci-fi window. I've painted on some cracks, sort of in whatever I think glass would be in there. Put on some extra bits and pieces and some graffiti and paint. And he's been given some extra armor on his torso. I think it's from another orc kit. That's not custom made. It's GW armor, kit armor, but from a different kit. He's got his little side arm up there, easy reach, so he can drop his axe and get stuck into it if he needs to. So there we have it. Hope you enjoyed seeing my small unit of shield orcs come to life. If you want to see more detailed pics of these models and plenty more, check me out on Facebook and Instagram too. Remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, push all those other buttons that everyone always wants you to. Stick around for more hobby videos. Thanks for watching, we'll see you soon.